Hello, everybody. It is 8:54 p.m. Central Time on the 18th of January, 2021. It's Monday here, still in the United States. Hope you're doing well. Have some breaking news for everybody. A large earthquake, 6.6 to 6.8, has struck down here in South America. Let me get all the other earthquakes off the screen, and let me also turn on a display capture really quick so you can get a better view of what I'm looking at here. We're right on the border of Chile and Argentina. I'll pull the coordinates on this from the USGS. Now, the magnitudes may go up or down. Right now it's at 6.6. It started out at 6.8. It's a big earthquake, and we're going to put the coordinates in. They don't have any actual tsunami warnings going on this. Nothing to worry about there. It's far enough inland. It's hundreds of miles inland. But put the coordinates in. Picture speaks 1,000 words. We'll go down and take a look and see what's there. This is the second 6.8 on the planet for this past week. There was a 6.8 over in Mongolia on the opposite side of the planet. We call that the antipode, the opposite side of something, the antipode. But wow, hold on, look where we are. We're right next to their large hydroelectric generation location. And we looked this up before because of a previous earthquake that struck down here right next to the hydroelectric dam. There's actually two of them. And coming off of them, they have large power lines and the facilities to facilitate that, obviously. So there we are. We are actually in the plate boundary interior. The actual plate boundary is out in the ocean. Let me show it to you on the USGS plate boundary map. The plate boundary map marked in a red line in the new big earthquake. You can see it's well into the plate. So getting back over to Google Earth, well into the plate, the mountain range here, the Andes Mountains that go up to the north, they make a bend and carry on all the way up to the tip of South America and beyond. They also go down to the south, and that's really where we are. Let me take you over to the arrow map here and look what we have. A tiny arrow here that points down to the south. Now, right in here, Nevados de Chilean volcano suddenly came back on the Volcanic Ash Advisory Center list. Let me show that to you as well. Look, it's at the top of the list now. Steam emissions. Yesterday, they tried to just say it was weather of some kind. But we know when there's weather events that are strange happening above a volcano, it's usually due to heat rising. But that's what's going on here. Now it actually has steam emissions. Nevados de Chilean volcano right here, also right where our travels underneath point is. So if you're just now tuning in, a very large earthquake has just struck down in South America. And let me take you back just a few days in time, and we're going to look at everything 4.0 and greater, and you'll see there's several earthquakes that are raised high off the globe here. And you'll see that most of the earthquakes that are raised high off the globe are in the middle or at the bottom side of our letter D. The letter D stands for deep earthquakes, and we watch for new deep earthquakes to take place because usually that means shallower, larger earthquakes are coming in next to the deep earthquakes. And I'm going to take you over here and show you a video that I always play in my updates. What I think is going on down below the plates where the deep earthquakes are happening. A concentric wave, but it's hundreds of miles across down below the plate in the magma. And that hammering action is coming in and going up into the plate out of the liquid-like magma or the plasticky type magma in the asthenosphere down below the plate. So big earthquake struck here. Now let me take you on the antipode. Over here, the opposite side of the planet. And take you back to the start of the week. Let's see if it's still on there. There it is. Let's get all the other earthquakes out of there and just look at the 6s and greater, 6.7 here. And we go all the way through the planet, which I can actually turn the planet off here. Turn on a grid so we can get a better view of the planet. And we're looking through the planet, and you can see we're almost on an exact antipode, or an exact opposite side of the planet, one from the other, two of the same sized earthquakes. Now, professionals put out new studies, what was it, 2 years ago? 2 years ago, telling us that they found a correlation between large earthquakes, 6.0 and greater, on opposite sides of the planet, antipodes of one another, within a week of each other. And that they studied thousands of different earthquakes, and they saw that there was an antipode earthquake connection happening on opposite sides of the planet, 6.0 and greater. No, it wasn't within a week, it was within 3 days. Within 3 days. So feel free to go check that research out, but now one of the agencies has weighed in at 6.5, the other at 6.6. The difference now is just a matter of a few points on a point, a few hairs of a point as we call it. So the second 6.8 of the week, let's just call it the second near 7 of the week, and a bunch of 4s and 5s, also 6s going back to the start of the week. We are definitely up there now. We had a whole bunch of activity develop over the past several days. Feel free to go over and check my YouTube channel to see this happen and start to ramp up. You can even tell just from the titles of my videos over the past week or so. You can see where we're talking about this starting to happen with the deep earthquakes. Then you can see where it started to pop off with the 6s, low-end 6s, 6.1, 6.2. Then we had our 6.8 over in Mongolia. Then we had a bunch of new deep earthquakes. Then we issued the warning for the next step higher to take place. And now here we are, and we've got a new 6-point-something, mid-range 6, striking down at the middle point between our previous sets of earthquakes. Notice how where this 6 is, it's sandwiched very nicely in between the earthquake to the north and the earthquake to the south. And make note of the magnitudes of the earthquake to the north and the earthquake to the south. Do you notice anything about them? They're both the exact same magnitude. Not only are they about the same distance apart from the center being the big earthquake, they're also the same size in magnitude. So same size magnitude, same distance apart, spreading out like a standing wave. And in the middle, where the waves come together, or at least where the amplitude increases the most, at that middle point at the juncture of the waves, we start to get higher waves. Bigger, well, here, let me show them to you. Bigger waves, bigger amplitude, more power. And that's the new big earthquake that struck here. So volcanoes going here at the location, Novato State, Chilean. New 6-point-something earthquake, let's just call it a 6.5 to 6.8. And we're not done yet. We are going to see new activity spread now between the sets of earthquakes, and this energy in South America should go pretty much one direction, but actually, hold on, before I say that, see where it is on the arrows. Yeah, it's on the southern arrows. You see both arrows point down to the south and over to the east. This takes us down to the South Sandwich Islands and South Chile. If we go back over to the USGS plate boundary map, we can look down through Chile and see the red line, see where it goes. It goes down, around, and over to the east to the South Sandwich Islands and dead ends down into the South Atlantic. And in between the two, the USGS has nothing on their map, but we get back here and you see we have our travels underneath point. So between our travels underneath point and the actual plate boundary, we're going to see energy go down, across, and over, and we may even see new activity since this is so big. New significant sized activity, but probably not as big as the 6.6 to 6.5, down here at the halfway point between the dead end and the new 6.5. So the halfway point brings us pretty much right here at the south tip of Chile. Okay, so that's just one spot to watch. Ultimately, we watch our X's down here for something to increase big time. So we got a 6.8 here, well, I'm sorry, now 6.4. 6.4 here, that would mean something in the 6 range or upper 5 to be striking down at the South Sandwich Islands. Luckily, we're on the south side of here. I mean, look, we're just a matter of 200, 300 miles off from where the split is, and the split goes to the north, up around and over to the east. Now that a new 6-point-something earthquake has struck down here, we have to just go back 2 days. And remember that the coast of Mexico, or well, actually the coast of Guatemala at Mexico's border, also got hit with a 6, which is now a 5.9. But so both sides did get hit of South America. There's only really one spot in between. The halfway point in between the earthquake down here and the earthquake up here. We go right into the middle of Peru. That will also get hit. So it's not like we just have to look for one of these locations to get hit. All of these locations on either side, at the fulcrum points, if you will, the middle points between our sets of previous earthquakes, are going to get hit in the next few days. Looking at 48 hours worth of earthquakes, you can see, for instance, right here, we have a big open area across central North Peru, Ecuador, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, and then we pick back up right around the volcanoes, where we have eruptions going at Mount Fuego and Popocatépetl. But this big open area here, it's seismically prone, it's totally open, 48 hours almost, big activity to the south, middle point in here should also be filled in. So do you understand what I'm saying about the middle points? If you don't, you can go watch my other videos explaining fully in detail fulcrum points and the middle points between earthquakes. I will be back on if anything else goes down. I think this is just an appropriate time to save this video and get it out over on YouTube. If any other significant activity develops tonight, you can expect another video from me, but this is the next step up. We are now going from low-end 6s to mid-range to upper 6s. They did a downgrade on it to 6.4. We'll see what they ultimately come in at. They keep shaving it down, I'm going to start getting a little suspicious. Make sure to have an earthquake plan right now, especially at a time like this, where the deep earthquakes are taking place in earnest. We're seeing a bunch of deep earthquake activity. And when the deep earthquakes pick up, my longtime viewers already know this, but new viewers have no clue. When we start seeing a bunch of these raised high off the globe, like we have over the past several days, and actually the last several weeks, that when we start seeing these, we know to expect an increase in the size and the number of earthquakes spreading between where the deep earthquakes are. And when you see deep earthquakes go from over here at Afghanistan, all the way back across Indonesia, back down across Fiji, and go all the way down here into South America, that pretty much says something's happening down below the whole Pacific plate, if not, well, 3/4 of the Pacific plate. And the only spot where we don't have any deep earthquakes is on the northeast side up by the United States, where subduction is supposedly happening. That says that there's leverage coming in on the underside of the plate. And when leverage comes in on the underside of anything, guess what happens to that power that you're leveraging in on the underside of that mass? It goes up through it. And if you have breaks in it, guess what happens there? The breaks, where you leverage force in on the underside or power, go to those weak points, those perforation points, scoring points, if you will. And that then releases at the previously weakened area. As opposed to going through a solid mass, it's going to go to the break point. And that sums it up. Big earthquake, South America. Hold on to your hats, because I don't think we're done yet. This week should be pretty wild with the number of earthquakes, considering we're still seeing new deep earthquakes today, even marked in white and pink. So it's still happening. The deep earthquakes are still hammering off on the underside of the West Pacific. And it's pretty obvious. This is 48 hours worth of earthquakes now. This isn't some long time period we're looking at here. 48 hours worth of earthquakes shows us the spread going from the West Pacific all the way over into Asia towards Europe, and all the way up across over into Alaska, and directly across. And again, one more time, 6.8 on one side of the planet. Well, now 6.4, whatever. And on the other side of the planet, 6.8. Almost exact antipodes. I mean, not exactly exact. They're not the down to a point exact, but they're within a few degrees of each other on opposite sides of the planet within a couple days of each other. And that fully confirms all that research that we talked about that came out from the quote-unquote professionals over the past few years about antipode earthquakes. So something's happening, majorly speaking. Again, we're getting into that near 7.0 level on both sides of the planet. Something's going on between the two, between here and here. What's between the two? Well, if you go to the middle point, I would say this right here, where all the deep earthquakes are coming up, is pretty much the middle point between this and this. The rough halfway point across the whole mass of the planet. Just if you draw a straight line down through the two. I don't know, it's somewhere pretty close to it. And it's close enough for me to keep an eye on to see what else develops. And I would encourage you all to do the same. On the west coast of the United States, separate issue entirely. You should go check out my videos from yesterday. Fully covering the west coast, what to look for. Also, the east coast United States started to move. Look, east coast U.S., edge of the craton, Maine, South Carolina, Virginia. One more time, the craton edge. Look on the east coast. Look where the earthquakes are striking compared to the craton diagram. The only thing missing now is the halfway point between these two earthquakes to the north to get hit. And who is that? That's New York. And the edge of the craton goes across the New York-Quebec border. So I'd watch the New York-Quebec border for something bigger than what's on both sides, and that's 2.8 on one side and 2.3 on the other. So something larger than that should strike at the middle point, that standing wave. Just one example of many. There's many more to go, but I'm not doing a forecast now. This is just an update on the large earthquake in South America. But we're going through it in North America. If you go back and watch my videos from this past week, 3 or 4 days ago, I made a video titled seismic activity on the increase, West Coast expecting new 4.0 plus activity. And then the next day, these 3-4s hit. And we had gone at a little dry spell without any significant activity in California at all in the small level, 2s and 3s. And then all of a sudden, these 3 different 4s strike within a couple hours of each other, all the way across California. And that was part of the forecast. Now we're waiting on the West Coast for 5.0 activity to come rolling back in. Well, now that South America just got hit by a near 7, well, 6.4, that means we have to keep watch on the East Pacific in our open areas where there's no current reported seismic activity. Think of it like a 2-arm scale here, where energy is down here along North America, and we're also up here in Alaska going up into the North Pacific. And in between the two, like a teetering scale in the middle, there's a lot of tension balancing between those 2 spots. And another way to look at it here in the United States, between the United States and South Mexico, there's a big open area here that's only had a few 4.0 range earthquakes in the past several days. Now it's open and quiet with no significant activity reported. It too should break at the middle point. The middle point along the red lines of the plate boundary that I show in all my updates. So again, I've already put out a video explaining how to do this, how to forecast an earthquake, step-by-step directions so you can repeat the method. Go check that out if you want to. It's called How to Forecast an Earthquake by Dutch Sense. Pretty easy to find. Much love to everyone. Thank you to everybody on Twitch. Big time thank you to everybody on Twitch for all your support. And I will upload this to YouTube. We will get this out over on YouTube, and they can also share it around the world. They're doing a good part over there too. So everybody on Twitch is doing a good job. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, well, look at that. Cuba, Jamaica got hit. I am 5 days late. My warning expired 5 days ago, right? No, did it? 3 days ago. 3 days ago, my warning expired that was going right here at the stair step. I'd issued a 3 to 4 day watch, and it took a full week. But the spot that was warned was the stair step at Cayman Islands, right here, going over to, and I said, South Cuba, and going into Jamaica. Now, the magnitude on this is about a magnitude under what I was expecting. The spot is okay, the magnitude a magnitude under. I was looking for 4.5 to 5.0 range. But nonetheless, there it is. At least the spot got hit, right? They said it was impossible, you know? Hey, they all said it was impossible. Well, you know, hey, Dutch, you didn't get the magnitude exactly right. They're all like, it's impossible. You can't ever know a location that's going to be hit. And then I'm like, there it is. It should be hit by something near upper 4 to 5. And then a 3.5 comes in. They're like, yeah, but, you know, you got the magnitude wrong. Hey, I'm drinking my coffee, by the way. So I'm going to be up tonight. I'm going to be waiting for something else to develop. And I would encourage you all to take the time to develop an emergency kit, an emergency plan, especially dealing with earthquakes, a place to take shelter in your house. A table or a desk or something to get underneath to protect you from falling items. Pretty basic. And then afterwards, some people say that they might go outside if their building was compromised. I don't know what I would do. I really don't. I would probably have a pre-designated area outside that I've already checked to make sure there's nothing around it, underneath it, anywhere that could hurt me, and be able to go there. But that might be overkill for some people, at least to be able to take shelter inside your house. And to have, of course, the emergency kit that has the change of clothes, set of shoes, flashlight, batteries, first aid, sanitation, maybe a little bit of food and water to get you through a couple days, but not the big heavy stuff. I'm talking about pre-dried granola bars, energy bars, things you're not going to want to sit down and eat a steak right at the middle of a earthquake disaster zone. So think about that. You'll have your lightweight, ready-to-eat foods that you can maybe put into your backpack along with a little bit of water or prepackaged drinks. Okay, take the time to do that, please. And I'll be back if anything else goes down. Peace out.